Welcome everybody to this episode 5 of the Kipling Balance. We are delighted to have here with us today Belén Garijo, the CEO of Merck. Thank you for joining us, Belén, in this session. We are delighted to have here you and to spend some time talking about many different things. As you know, Belén, the Kipling Balance is based on the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. And we always ask to the guests to choose one or two verses of the poem, which, by the way, is always very, very difficult because all of them are so good and so full of important things that it's always very difficult. But you have selected two, and I would like to start the conversation going through these verses that you have selected. What does it mean to you and why you have decided to do so? The first one that you selected is the one that says, "If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you." For me, this verse, which is very good as everything in this poem, has two parts. No? The first one is to keep your head when all about you are losing theirs. This is something that, as a leader, I'm sure you have faced many times. I personally have faced this situation many times. But I must tell you that the second part of the verse, I have never faced that situation, that they are losing theirs and blaming it on you. I don't know if it has been the case for you or not, but first of all, I would like you, if you want to tell us why did you decide this verse as one of the two of the poem that you have selected.
First of all, thank you. I really love this Kipling topic. I mean, I before you invited me to be here, I haven't heard too much of this, and since then I have heard almost every podcast, and I have to say that is really a fantastic idea. So, second thing is I love the poem. I knew the poem, so I felt so lucky to speak about it. And well, the reason why I selected this one is not only because I have experienced both sides, but also because it's something that over the years basically took my very clear focus to actually improve and develop every day as a leader. The first part of it is definitely speaking to me about managing crisis.
Right.
You know, I mean, keeping your confidence, your composure, raising above the noise of certain adverse events that you have to deal with as a leader, and of course, even more when in the past I was practicing as a physician in a hospital, is absolutely essential to give the others the confidence that and to establish the direction of travel.
I fully agree with that, Belén. When you see the leader in any type of organization or situation losing this confidence, feeling anxious, I think then it becomes dramatic for the whole organization. So sometimes even if internally you are seeing how significant is something, but you need, as you were saying, to keep this composure to manage the crisis. And yeah, I fully agree with that.
And it requires a lot of self-management, right? Because you cannot freak others. You cannot afford, I mean, you may have your own emotions, right? But keeping that confidence in front of the teams has proven to be essential. I think the second part I have experienced less.
Yes.
But in a way, you know, it speaks to me about accountability, right? I mean, in any circumstances, a senior leader is accountable for what is going on, right? So it's not that they are blaming, you know, it's your
that
own
you're
sense,
accountable and
your own sense of, okay, you know, I'm accountable of this, and I have to deal with that, and taking responsibility, right, for failure is as important as taking responsibility for success. But it really speaks to me about being refractory and a bit resilient on taking
Yes.
negative inputs from the outside,
Yeah.
which is, taking many people down, right? And we obviously we like to be praised, and this is stimulating, energizing. But time comes when you have to deal with people looking at you like with saying, okay, you know, she is basically the one responsible for this, and and you have to shelter your mind and yourself and stay
Yeah,
put.
in order to continue doing what you believe that must be done, in order
Exactly.
to, yeah, and this idea of accountability, that when you are a leader is also essential. And you were mentioning also there is another verse in the poem, but perhaps we will talk later about that if we have time, about triumph and so about success, about failure. In the poem it's triumph and disaster, and how to treat those two impostors. No, but what you are saying, I fully agree, but it's very difficult sometimes. But this is what makes sometimes a leader to be a leader. But if you allow me, Belén, we can move to the second verse, which is very different. The second one you have selected, and it's also very meaningful, which is, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch. So it's also talking a lot. This verse talks about many different things, no? But this idea of virtue, of values, how important are values when you are leading a company, how values transmit, in my opinion, from the top to the whole company. And then the second part, not losing the common touch, being grounded, humility, not thinking that you are a superhero and that you can do everything, no? Because when you have a very relevant leadership position, there is always this risk, no? To become arrogant, to stop listening to others. Why have you selected this verse? And
Precisely because of many of what you said, I think humility is a great quality of a strong leader,
Mm,
and we don't know it all, right? And no matter how much you grow in the organization, and I started from the very base, when I started, I was no one. So I think the trajectory that I had within the industry really helped me a lot to stay grounded, but also my own sense of okay, I may have an ego, but I have to control that one, right? And you don't guide and lead people with arrogance, and you don't learn thinking that you know it all. So
mm,
over the years, I gave myself a kind of imperative, which is stay being yourself. Is fine, I mean,
mm,
you can really uh, uh, allow yourself to be genuine, right? You are
mm,
here not to be popular, but basically to engage with the teams in the right way to make the right decisions. But most importantly, it really paid off, right? Because more and more people like transparency,
mm.
people like genuinity, and I frequently tell to my teams that the atmosphere that I would like to cultivate within the company is based on my what I call my 3 T's, which is trust, truth, and transparency. Because the more you grow in the organization, you get so much filtered information,
Yes.
right? And and we cannot forget that at the end, we have the accountability, as we were saying before, but at the same time, we are part of the teams,
Yeah.
right? We are
Now,
there
what
to
you are
serve.
saying about arrogance, it is, of course, if you are leading an organization or leading a team and you become arrogant, I mean, that is terrible. And even the whole organization could become arrogant, thinking that we are invincible, that we know everything, that we don't need to continue learning. That when this happens inside any organization, when you lose this idea that I mean it can be the beginning of the end of any organization. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and as most of the things in terms of the culture, because how relevant is the culture of inside a company, I think is absolutely essential.
I
and
agree.
and and it has a lot to do with who is leading the company. not probably not one single person, but the leadership team. What
Yes.
is the culture that they are transmitting all across the organization? And for me, this is essential. And if you see that people are running the company with arrogance, this transmits to the whole organization, and this is something that can be extremely harmful for any company.
You are so right. I always said the culture of an organization is the culture of their leaders.
Yes.
Right? And that's exactly what you mean. And I cannot agree more with that. I think this is exactly the way, and at the end, we are the face of the company, right? So, and in the environments that you operate in any industry, reminding yourself that every day is a new opportunity to continue to learn, right, is important.
And Belén, you were mentioning before that you started your career as a doctor and then you moved to management. It's different, but in a sense, in my case, because I started as a lawyer, let us say this way, and then I moved to management, is different because probably it's more related. But how has been this journey for you, and what could you tell us about that?
So, I define it in a very simple statement, which is I continue to be a doctor by vocation and a CEO by profession, right? It means that there are.
I think is better like that than the other way. No, a CEO by
Yes.
vocation and a doctor.
Exactly. No, this is totally right. No, but over the years, I discovered that my training as a doctor gave me many, many levers to be used in leadership, right?
But when was the first time you moved from being a doctor to begin your?
It was in 1989 when I finished my residency in a hospital that is very close by in La Paz. And my obsession was to stay in a hospital. I just wanted to be a hospital-based physician, and that wasn't an option for me at that time. So I have other options that I didn't like. So,
That wasn't an option because there were no.
there wasn't
There was no
any
place. No.
openings.
Yeah.
Remember, I am from I will not say the generation. I am a baby boomer, I can say. And at the time that I applied for my residency, which I got in that hospital, there were 25,000 physicians applying for 1,000, right? So the options, the employment options were very limited, to say the least. And that was the first time that I decided to reinvent myself,
And in your case, because I think this is interesting, and for people that could be listening or watching the podcast, it was a conscious decision, or it was, for example, if I tell you my own experience, I started my career as I studied law, then I became a state lawyer, then I moved to a bank as legal counsel, and to be very honest, in my case, I didn't take a very rational decision to say I will move to management roles. In my case, it was very natural. Even without, in your case, it was a very rational decision?
No. It was not a conscious decision. It resulted from two elements. One, I was looking for a job.
Yeah.
Right? I did want to work after having invested many, many years in being trained. The job that I wanted wasn't available, right? So put it behind. And then, a little bit of a vision, obviously not thinking that I was going to develop as I did, and I didn't have any expectations, but driven by, I knew the pharma industry from the other side, from my doctor's practice and being in clinic. So I thought, this industry is very commercial, right? There is, in a way, I say it with humility, right? But all those many physicians that couldn't opt for the residency went to the industry because the industry paid well, offered development opportunities. And I said, well, why not to try it, right? I mean, the reputation of the pharma industry at that time already was very, very, very bad. And I saw an opportunity to really raise the bar and raise the profile of the research activities, because remember, I started in research, not in management.
And then from research, you moved to management?
From research, I was in research for 8 years, so I developed here in Spain first. I was nominated medical director 3 years after I joined for different circumstances, so I had the chance to really give profile to the what I call at the time medicalized marketing, liaising, raising the science, right? That the Spanish affiliate of an American company, which is where I joined first, connecting with the customers and the community in a different way, and then after being in R&D, this kind of curiosity guiding me and my own willingness to try new things took me to the other side and to commercial. And I started also from the base.
And in fact, when you were already leading R&D, in a sense, you were always having a management position, no? Because there was an R&D team that you needed to manage. So in that case, and then Belén, well, you followed your whole career, and currently you are the CEO of Merck. And perhaps before, because later on I want to talk a little bit about how do you see yourself as a leader and what do you want to see in your teams. But before moving to that, why don't we dedicate 2 minutes, because I know this could be very long, but 2 minutes to explain what is Merck? Because I think people know a part of it, but not everything that Merck is. Why don't we spend 2 or 3 minutes explaining us what is Merck?
3 keywords. One, I define Merck as a unique company, unique because of having been in the business for more than 350 years.
Yeah, which is unbelievable.
Which is amazing.
350 years. Yeah.
Merck existed before the German state. So imagine the resilience of this company. Second, we are now a global science and technology leader. This is the way we define ourselves, with 70% owned by the Merck family, so family owned, and 30% in the capital markets.
I think we will come back to Merck and the areas of Merck, but I think this type of capital structure that I know quite well also, I like it very much.
Me too.
I also like companies which are 100% free float, I cannot say. But this combination between being family company and public company is something that I think is very good balance between long-term decisions, between short-term. I think is very, very good balance. But you were talking about Merck.
No, I think the only other thing that I wanted to say is that we operate in 3 very highly dynamic sectors. One is the life science sector, which is where we contribute to developing and manufacturing medicines for major pharma companies and biotechs. And we provide tools and services to those companies, also to academia. Then our pharma pillar, which is the second largest business, and then we have smaller business, which is very vibrant, helping digitalization and artificial intelligence development through advanced semiconductors materials.
And your biggest region is Asia Pacific, no?
Our 2 largest markets are the US and followed by Asia.
The US and Asia Pacific.
But yes, in terms of percentage of revenues, Asia Pacific beyond China is actually bigger, slightly bigger than our US.
So you are really a global company, and you have.
I mean, people do not believe that being a German a company with a global company with a strong German roots. Our exposure to Germany is around 5%, so we don't have
Well, when
revenues.
you become a global company, well, it's different sometimes in the US because the market is so big and the country is so big that it continues always being very relevant for US companies.
Yeah.
But in Europe, I always say that when you have a global company, you should compare Europe to the US, not any individual European country.
Absolutely.
Because the size has nothing to do. And coming back to you, Belén, how would you define yourself as a leader? You are very demanding, you are very formal, you
Yeah.
are very how would you say is your leadership style?
Well,
And the second part of the question would be, what are you trying to find in, or what do you transmit to your direct teams, your leadership teams? What are you looking for when you appoint somebody in a relevant leadership position? But let's start with you.
look, it's difficult to define oneself, but I would say that what I have kept over the years is really being very straightforward, quite accessible. I really like to be.
Very sorry, I read something that and we have talked before about this, that I think for me was very relevant, that you were saying that you cannot think about a leadership position without being transformational, which is something I like very much. But
No, yeah, definitely, because I mean, people. When I speak to the teams, I think people frequently confuse leadership with being a manager, right? I mean, to be a leader, obviously, you not only need a great team around you, right? People who are even better than you, helping you transform the organization to take it to the next level. I mean, managing a status quo doesn't need a leader, right? And this is what I have done over the years. So trying to imagine, okay, what is the impact that we can make, obviously, to our customers, to drive growth, to have a more profitable business. At the end, to conclude that it's all about three pillars: growth, innovation, and people. Right?
yeah,
So that's, I mean, once again, I think defining myself as a leader, yes, I am very demanding, but I am very demanding also to myself, right? And people would define me as genuine,
very accessible.
accessible, and well, I try to be credible, basically walking the talk, what I say, and extremely committed and engaged.
Extremely. And do you like, do you, this is very personal, no? But do you use a lot emails, or do you prefer direct contact with people, or?
Never email. I say to the organization, please don't send me an email with more than 3 paragraphs and expect that I read it. No way. So pick up the phone and call me. So I try to be really boosting this environment of direct communication, which has been a challenge during the pandemic. But
and walking around as much as possible, and you spend a lot of time traveling through the different countries. And
I do travel, but now I use a lot
video conference.
Video conferences. This is. I mean, I transitioned during the pandemic to my new role, right? And I use, I don't know how many hours, and met thousands of people, through virtual connections. And it's comfortable, right? It's very convenient.
And this that you were saying about being transformational, that I fully agree. Sometimes we think about the CEO and a huge transformation, but this mentality can be applied to any level in the organization. So
Totally.
if you are leading a team, or when you were saying you were leading R&D in this particular company, you can be very transformational, or you are leading a commercial team, or you are leading, so at any level inside the organization, in the different businesses, this mentality, for me, is very important, being transformational, and also the entrepreneurial mentality. No?
Absolutely.
That has also a lot to do with not just keeping the status quo, but trying to make an impact, trying to transform the company. I think that's very relevant. And this is linked with the second part of my question, that was thinking about your leadership team. What are you looking for? What do you transmit to them? Do you allow a risk-taking environment, or What would you say about this?
I think the generating an environment in which people can really grow and thrive is actually our biggest responsibility, not only mine but the one of the board, right? And this always starts by people. And I mean, we have as you can imagine, we have systematized very nicely and define our leadership behaviors around what we call the high impact culture, and we measure and reward and evaluate and give feedback against those behaviors. But at the end, I mean, those people who really inspire me, those would be the ones with this hunger to make an impact. Right? You know, in the it's not very politically correct when I say I love hungry leaders, but I do love hungry leaders. You know, and there are multiple dimensions of this topic. It's not only a genuine ambition to deliver good results, not for themselves, but for the organization.
No,
right?
But it's more a mentality.
It's
and
a
to
mindset.
change things, a mindset.
It's a mindset.
I fully and you were mentioning, because this is thinking about your teams, but you were mentioning before leaders that have inspired you apart from your teams. Any leader or mentor that has been relevant in your career, or, for example, in my case. Well, it has to do with what we were talking before. I always admire very much founders because I think it's very, very difficult to create a business. And I have had very close relations with some, I mean, Amancio Ortega for sure, but then Howard Schultz, Starbucks. So the concept of the founder is, for me, something very, very unique. And when you are not thinking about founders, you are thinking about CEOs. CEOs that really have had a very transformational impact, as you were saying.
Yeah.
No? And I don't know in your case.
I mean, I think that there are plenty of opportunities for inspirations in life, right? And I'm easy to inspire. I'm easy to inspire. This conversation is inspiring me, right? And I have to say that when I look back in my career, I really get inspired by those mentors that I had that actually at some point in time believed in myself
and gave
more than I believed that on me, right? And gave me tremendous opportunities to grow. I really take pride of having grown in the job. Right? I mean, I didn't have the luxury to with the exception of having been graduated and specialized as a medical doctor. But obviously, I am not the typical executive that came from a business school, right? And so that's why that really gave me an orientation to developing people, which I think is actually quite unique, because I don't hire for experience. I hire for potential. You know, I reward talent and impact and track record. You know, we are still. I mean, that would actually take so much time to discuss. But that really, my own experience, that may be a bit arrogant, but really gave me a different way to look at people development.
I understand what you say. In my opinion, because each person has its own trajectory and his own experience, and yours is very remarkable for sure, but you cannot exclude other type of trajectories or experience. No, I think when you I like very much what you were saying, that you don't hire for experience, that you hire for potential. But for example,
for attitude.
But I'm sure you also like very much to hire when there is a combination of experience and potential. So it is one thing doesn't exclude the other. No, it is
Completely.
not. If you have big experience but not potential, probably somebody that you don't like to be in your organization. But if there is also a person with experience and potential,
that's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
That is the ideal combination
for the position. No, yes.
What I meant to say is that I find a bit of an old-fashioned mindset, the one in which you tick how many years of experience someone
Yeah, I
has
agree. I agree.
to qualify for
No,
certain jobs,
and this
right?
has to do with something that when you think about your teams, that also we have talked before, not during this conversation, but before about that, the to have diverse teams, no,
Absolutely.
so not everybody with the same background, not every because not everybody with the same type of life, not everybody even with the same nationality, not every so to have a diverse, of course, gender, to have a diverse team from every point of view. I think that is very, very important.
That is a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, we this is the way we position the whole thing at Merck, and that really help people click,
Hmm.
because obviously people may think, of course she's a woman, so she wants more female leaders, and what about us? No, I mean, I think we go to those people who we consider to be competent, but we give attitude an increasing importance,
Mhm.
because I mean, something that I have valued over the years is, for example, self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
And which is to me the killer. I mean, if you don't have it, it's the
Yeah.
killer of any executive. I mean, we talk about um, humility and other elements of leadership before. For me, self-awareness is where development starts,
Mhm.
right? And we give a lot of importance to this um, attitude, right? Because it's also helping people to grow through feedback, through seeking active
Yeah.
feedback, and all this.
I agree. Changing a little bit the conversation you mentioned before when you were talking about Merck AI. How 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 do you see AI? How transform? How much is it going, in your opinion, to transform the world, the companies? Uh, what what could you share with us about that?
I believe we have only seen the tip of the iceberg. I believe the potential of AI will transform the way we discover medicines for patients, hopefully helping us be more productive, and really finding breakthrough innovation to solve very huge unmet medical needs. But it goes above and beyond that. I mean, and integrating AI into our processes um, is is per se a big company's transformation.
Yes.
So you have to basically lower the hype,
Mm.
right, and really focus on those areas in which you believe that. I mean, at least the way I see it, in a very pragmatic way. Anytime someone comes with a new use case, right,
Yes.
it's like, is this generating or accelerating our growth? Is this helping us to um, um, accelerate our innovation flow? Or is this going to help us make better decisions?
Mm.
Right? So those are that is kind of
Yeah.
my own guiding um, frame to as we integrate.
But thinking about the medium term, you see a huge
I mean, huge
transformation.
revolution in
Revolution.
the last 18 months. We have basically progressed our something that I am passionate about, which is what we call a smart manufacturing, smart factoring, which is giving us uh, that opportunity to equip our manufacturing operations in a super highly flexible way, which, as you can imagine,
Yeah.
for a highly diversified company is essential, because
And
we
you
can
have seen
forecast.
a significant advance.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
we are not doing this alone. We are partnering this with our Siemens colleagues and other companies which are very advanced. But we are
Yeah.
already scaling
Scaling.
in
Okay.
electronics
Okay.
first.
So, Belén, and two final questions because we could spend plenty of time talking about many different things, but one has to do with you personally, how work-life balance, what do you do, what are your habits, do you exercise, how do, I don't know, do you meditate?
Well, I have to say, being very honest to you, that I mean, I grew in a family in which all my siblings are very, they like exercise. My daughters are, I don't know, one of them waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning just to go to the gym. I have really forced myself to keep a better balance. And one day I woke up to the fact that I was very close to being a workaholic.
Yeah, and you were only working.
Working. And now, in the last 10 years, perhaps even 5 years, I am really focusing much more on 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 being healthy to be more effective.
Yeah, more effective, and to have
So I am
this.
focused quite a lot on sleep, on the quality of my sleep, and I am making big efforts to step up my exercise, at least 3 times a week.
For me, it's key.
Even walking on a treadmill.
Yeah, for me, it's key
or static bike
to
or
this
whatever.
type of things. Yeah, it is key, and I think it's necessary, because if
It's
not.
essential.
And the final one, Belén, because we are here at IE University, what advice would you give to IE students when they think about their professional careers, when they think about a world that is changing so much, so fast, very unpredictable from every point of view? What advice would you give to IE students?
Look, I think that the environment in which we welcome these younger generations is tough. It's super tough. If it was tough for us,
Yeah.
it's tougher for them. So being bold therein, do not have a single option, but really open their options and be able to eventually find solutions which may not be so obvious for them, being ready to deal with this uncertain environment, and most importantly, always never compromising on who they are, being confident and pursuing, never giving up.
Never giving up. I think
That's the summary.
I think it's a very good way to finish this conversation. So thank you very much, Belén. It has been a pleasure to share this conversation with you. Thank you very much. Really.
Thank you, Pablo.